All right, good morning. Good morning. What is going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Remember when everybody lost it yesterday? They lost it. It's a couple minutes late and but just hallucinated. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate the passion. That's what I want. I want people on this channel. I want them to be passionate about the Lakers, the NBA, and then angry at me sometimes. That's okay. That works out well. Cheers to everybody here. Whatever you're drinking this morning. Cup number 2 for me. Coffee cup number 2. Already had some water as well. It was a real water too. It was like lemon water, like the whole thing. The whole thing. So thank you for being a part of the show. We got a fun show lined up today. Got a lot of good topics as well. Very excited to get to some of these topics and very excited to have my guest on. All right. I'm going to get to some of the comments here to kind of get the show started. Thank you for the support of the channel here through the off season. It's been fantastic. And we just got to yesterday. The day before, got to 33,000 subscribers. So I really appreciate that. If you ask, you shall receive. I was asking these last couple of days, last couple of weeks or so, that we were getting close to 33,000. So if I can get some help here. So I appreciate everybody that subscribed to the channel, whether you're watching the show live or you're watching it a little bit later, whether you've been on this channel for a long time or you're new to the channel. Welcome, and I appreciate you being here. Okay, let's get into, let's kind of go through what some of the topics are going to be. Let me see if I could sneak in a couple of quick comments here. Good morning, Slee. The bubble slander has to stop. Yes, that will be a topic. That will be a topic. I gotta be honest with you. I don't really mind it. It doesn't really do anything to me. I think there are people out there that are going to have their opinion and they're going to have it. And if it's a former player or executive or coach, I'm curious to see what they have to say. They were in the bubble. We weren't. So we'll go from there. Let's see what else we have here. How come none of the pundits comment on the Spurs 50-game season championship? That's fair. Maybe just because it was played. It wasn't the fact that it was less games. It was more that it was played in NBA arenas and everything else. So probably that. I got some stats that I want to share with everybody when we start going through whether obviously whether that championship deserves an asterisk or it doesn't. Let me give everyone a quick rundown of the show. Thank you for being here. Here's what we got going on today. Do Lakers have enough as is? Do they have enough as is? Kendrick Perkins, I think it was on, might have been First Take that he was on. Could have been NBA Today. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. When I'm going through the article, we'll talk about it. He's adamant that the Lakers have enough. That, if you go look at, if Luka has the type of season that he's supposed to have, LeBron has the type of season he's supposed to have, Lakers have enough to go compete for an NBA championship. I don't agree with that. I don't think they have enough as is, but that's going to be a good topic to get into. Should an MVP matter? Getting the MVP, should that matter to Luka Doncic? I'm going to make a case that it should. And I think that should be a real priority for Luka this year. I know people are going to say, okay, it's not as important as winning a championship. I'm not telling you it's as important as a championship. But what I'm telling you is I think this is Luka's year. Luka, do not be surprised. It's the best year Luka has ever had in his NBA career, and he's had some very impressive years. And if things go as planned, he might be able to accomplish something that would be wildly impressive, obviously winning an MVP. Guest today, Trevor Lane, Lakers Nation. Maybe you've heard of him. Maybe he's live and putting out Laker content. I feel like 22 hours out of the day, the man does not sleep. He's going to join the show. So you guys know how much I love having Trev on. So I'm looking forward to that. Talk about the bubble championship. Daryl Morey had some thoughts on the bubble championship. We already kind of started talking about that. So we'll get into that as well. New basketball league. There was a little bit more clarity of what that photo was with Nikola Jokic's agent, Maverick Carter, and LeBron James. We've kind of heard some rumblings about this in the past. So we'll get into that. And then we got some NBA stories. Gilbert Arenas. Oh, Gilbert might not want to run a whole gambling thing inside of a home. Probably not a good idea. We'll get into that story as well that came out yesterday on Gilbert Arenas. Take a look at a couple of the comments, and then we're going to get the show started. Is this show live? It is not. No. This show is actually, this was from June 18th. So this show actually right now that you're watching is about a month and a half old. So just a heads up. It's not live at all. Not live at all. Let's get another one here. Morning, Slee. I should have my third cup of coffee right now. Hey, sis, you do what you need to do, brother. Quote, Ocean Breeze, thank you very much, buddy. I love reading these, by the way. You've made my life a little bit easier as well. You are free to choose, but the choices you make today will determine what you have, be, and do in the tomorrow of your life. You are free to choose, but the choices you make today will determine what you have, be, and do in the tomorrow of your life. Thank you, Ocean Breeze. I appreciate you, brother. All right, let's get the show started. So thank you very much for being here. Please subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 35K. Let's get to 35K. Let that be the next kind of goal for us from a subscriber perspective, to get to 35,000 subscribers. That'd be phenomenal. I think I added, since we started going Monday through Friday, which was October 1st or 2nd of last year, we got to be getting close to, like, I think it's between 8 and 10,000 subscribers over the course of the year. So phenomenal stuff. I appreciate you guys, obviously rocking with the channel. All right. Do Lakers have enough as is? Kendrick Perkins. Let me read this for everybody. There was a couple quotes here that I thought were interesting. Here's Kendrick Perkins talking about the Lakers, talking about kind of their situation, where they're at, and everything else. Here's what he said. The Lakers are right there. Matter of fact, to be honest, I don't believe that they need anything else. I don't think they need a damn thing. As long as they have an engaged Luka, which seems like they have, and LeBron James, that's going to be engaged as well, who I believe is going to be on the Lakers roster next year. They got a shot. They got an effing shot in there. I think there's some differences between, do they have a shot versus do they need anything else? I think there's a big difference between the two of those. He also goes on to say, if anybody tells you different, they're lying to themselves or just hating. Luka Doncic being in the best shape elevates the Lakers to another level, period. So I know some people have their opinions and their thoughts on Kendrick Perkins. This is the last couple of times I've brought up Kendrick Perkins. He's had a lot of positive things to say about the Lakers. One of the things he's talked about is he thinks Luka's going to win the MVP this upcoming season. And then obviously him saying that the Lakers have enough. There's a piece of what he said that I think is most important to me. He said, as long as, and he goes into Luka, LeBron, everything else, they got a effing shot in there. I think there's a big difference between you have a shot and you're one of 5 teams that you would say are the favorites to win it all. If you want to go less than that, 4 teams to win it all, 3 teams to win it all. I think there's a lot of teams that technically, by the books, have a shot. If I look at the NBA right now, would you say do the Clippers have a shot? Yeah, they have a shot of winning it all. Does Minnesota have a shot? Yeah, I think Minnesota's got a shot of winning it all. I mean, just depends how deep in the West that you want to go. If you want to look at the Eastern Conference, do the Knicks have a shot? Of course they have a shot. Do the Bucks have a shot? They have a shot. I think there are – I just don't like the term they have a shot. Because if you're going to say that the Lakers have enough as is, and then you apply to it they have a shot, then to me it's like they need more. What you're not saying is, hey, this is the favorite to come out of the Western Conference, or one of the top 2-3 teams to come out of the Western Conference. And the Lakers aren't. I mean, you guys can we can play all the games that we want and say, but because of this and because of that, and if this happens and if that happens, I think for the Lakers, I think what they've done this summer, I think it's been really good. I think it's been a very smart, strategic offseason that handled specific needs that the Lakers had. I think that part nobody can argue. But I think the piece of they have a shot and they're good enough as is, I don't think those connect. Because what I would tell you is they can hang in the Western Conference and they can make some noise. But what I would also tell you is they need more. And the beauty of their offseason, and the reason why, yesterday I had Dave McMenamin on. By the way, shout out to Dave. This guy gets pulled in so many different directions. He's doing a lot of different things. Obviously, I've built up a relationship with Dave over the years. But shout out to him for coming on the channel yesterday. That was great for him. That was great to have him on there. But I think the thing that makes the most sense, and one of the things Dave McMenamin and I were talking about yesterday, we were talking about how what made the offseason successful for the Lakers, in my opinion, is they still got all their assets. What I think made the Lakers put themselves in a good position for this upcoming season, it's not just that, well, they got Ayton for $8 million. I don't know how Ayton's going to do. Maybe Ayton's going to be great for the Lakers. Maybe Ayton's not going to click as well as most people thought he was going to be. Maybe Ayton's the same issues he was having in Portland he has in LA. Maybe there's a lack of drive. I don't know what it is. Or maybe DeAndre Ayton is a really good player and he's on a competitive team that's got Luka and LeBron, and it's wildly different than it was. Marcus Smart's been unhealthy for the last couple of years. Maybe he's still unhealthy, or maybe he's a real asset for the Lakers. It almost doesn't even matter what the current roster looks like today. It does matter. You got to have guys, Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, you got to have all these guys. But I think the most important thing that I'm walking away from the offseason is you still got expiring contracts. You still got Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeves. I'm not telling you you're trading Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura, but you have the option to if you'd like to. You still have Gabe Vincent. You still have Maxi Kleber. You still have Dalton Connect. You still have your first-round pick. You got all these assets. So I think that the only issue I have with Kendrick Perkins saying the Lakers are good enough as is, I think you need a lot of things to go your way. And typically, it's not baseball. I think in baseball, if you just get into the playoffs, honestly, kind of anything can happen over the span of a week. The Arizona Diamondbacks can find a way to get to the World Series. And by the way, that's 2 straight years they were like, we're going to go all in. We're going to go all in. And now they can't even make the playoffs and they're selling before the trade deadline. I'm just giving that as an example. That doesn't typically happen in the NBA playoffs. It doesn't typically happen in the NBA. It's not as random in the NBA. So do I like what the Lakers did this offseason? I do, but with the caveat of saying, well, they're going to have to do more. If the goal is going to be they want to compete for a championship this year, LeBron really wants to be competitive at this stage of his career. Luka's in the best shape of his life, and he's playing at an MVP level. You finally got some pieces that make sense for this upcoming season, all that stuff. If you want to apply all that stuff, I would still tell you that as is, I'm not picking the Lakers to get to the NBA Finals or get out of the Western Conference. But this is not the roster that has to get to the NBA Finals or has to get out of the Western Conference. All this roster has to do is be very, very competitive in the West, and then it's on Rob Pelinka's back with all the assets that he kept to make them more competitive. By the time you get to, December 15th is usually that date where now certain players can be traded. By the time you get to January 1st, there's a lot more chatter. By the time you get to February 1st, teams are making deals. And then obviously a week after that, the trade deadline will end. So I don't have an issue with Kendrick Perkins, what he's saying. My only problem is, as is, you need a lot of things to go your way. But fortunately for the Lakers, they didn't go all in the summer. They didn't go all in and they lost all their assets and they lost everything they had. And then all of a sudden, now this is the team that they're running with, the roster that they're running with, and they have no flexibility. I think one of the brilliant portions of the Lakers' summer so far, they still have a lot of flexibility and they still kept all their assets. So to me, I think there's a lot of value in that. I think Kendrick Perkins kind of, obviously going out of his way, and I know why he's saying it. He's putting a lot of stock in Luka, what he looks like, the motivation that he has, that what LeBron has done for 22 years of his career, how the Lakers found pieces that finally make sense, at least the roster does. But I don't think they're good enough as is. But I love the fact that they're going to have a lot of flexibility as we get a little bit closer to the season starting and then everything after that. I don't think they're going to do anything else. That was part of the conversation with McMenamin yesterday, is they're probably done, but that doesn't mean that this is going to be the roster that they're going to have to throw out and hope that that's it. They have no more. There are a lot of teams out there that don't have that much flexibility. Fortunately for the Lakers, they have a little bit of flexibility as well. Okay, great topic to start off the show. I want to welcome in our guest. Let's welcome in Trevor Lane to the program.
Hey, Alan. Thanks, man. How are you doing?
Good, buddy. Good morning. How are you doing?
Morning. Doing well. It's I gotta admit though, I'm kind of dreading August. I'm at a point already, Alan, where I miss Lakers basketball. It feels like we're not even here. What is it today? The 31st. We're not even into August yet. And it already feels like it's been a long month. Like we need to fast forward here so we get the training camp. I want to see this team back out there on the floor.
Well, luckily, I don't know if you'd agree with me on this. Now, you're more of a vet in the YouTube space and doing it every single day, basically. This is really, I mean, obviously I've had the YouTube channel for a while, but I haven't just dedicated all my time to it. I actually thought July, and you tell me compared to other Julys, did you feel like there were still a lot of good topics and a lot of good
Yeah.
stories and a lot of good things to talk about?
Yeah, it was probably more than a normal year in that we've got the Luka stuff. The when is Luka going to sign? Hey, look how skinny Luka is, all that kind of stuff. Compared to last year, Alan, like July 10th last year, it
Done.
landed that they really weren't going to do anything, that it was just going to be the draft and that was it.
Mm,
And then it was a very, very long summer. So we definitely got something. Now, last year we did have the Olympics, and that helped a little bit because we had
sure.
LeBron and AD playing and all of that. But in general, yeah, I think this has been a little bit more of an eventful July than a typical year. And hopefully I hope the month of August isn't that exciting because Luka signs the contract extension on August 2nd. It just does make for a bit of a long month there as we're waiting for the NBA to come back.
Well, for what it's worth, yesterday had Dave McMenamin on, and Dave said when we were talking about the Luka extension, he just flat out said, he's like, I expect Luka to sign an extension this weekend.
Yeah.
So we may very well not get very far into August before that, you can kind of close the book on that, and then the Lakers can really start kind of planning for the future. And the good thing is, there really hasn't been any indication that that's not going to happen. There really hasn't been any indication from even you want to go back to the announcement of new ownership eventually stepping in, right? It was Luka on that post that said that he's looking forward to winning championships with the Lakers. So the good thing is it feels like everybody's on the same page, and obviously we'll see what happens after that. I'm going to throw. We were just talking about something. Kendrick Perkins was talking about the Lakers team and the Lakers roster, and he said something to the effect that Lakers are good enough as is, basically title contenders as is with their team. And he was really hyping up what he thinks Luka's going to be this upcoming year. LeBron, I mean, have we ever had a year where we're like, LeBron's not good? So, I mean, we could go as long as we want to talk about in regards to LeBron. He's delivered every single year of his career. I'm sure he'll do the same year 23. I don't agree that the Lakers are good enough as is, but I do like what they did over the summer. I do like how they address specific needs. And I think the thing that I love the most about the summer so far, they still got all their assets. They still got a ton of flexibility. What do you make of Kendrick Perkins saying title contenders as is, and just kind of how what kind of comes to your mind when he says that?
Yeah, I disagree with them. I don't think they're title contenders as is. I think they have enough holes in this roster still, particularly when you actually go through and you put together some lineups, which Ron Gutterman and I did yesterday. We did a rotation build. You run into the old familiar problem quite a bit of, do we have enough offensive guys? Do we have enough defensive guys on the floor at the same time? Is it the right mix
Depth,
or not? And
I would say depth as well, reliability on the depth.
Exactly. Yeah. Do you have enough depth? Do you have enough, specifically, do you have enough switchy perimeter athletes that can do things for you? I think you're missing a few things here that's holding you back. But that said, I also think it's been a very successful summer. You look at the boxes that the Lakers needed to check. Obviously, we are very optimistic that a Luka Doncic signing extension that is coming in the next few days, and that is number one priority by far for the Lakers. Great, but then look at the other boxes they needed to check. They needed to add more defense. Okay, they bring in Marcus Smart. Jake LaRavia may indeed become one of the kind of two-way players the Lakers need. You definitely needed a starting center. Lo and behold, surprise, DeAndre Ayton is on the market, and you get him without having to give up any kind of draft capital. So you add these pieces, you move up in the draft. I thought this was really impressive. I don't think anybody else in the NBA moved up in the draft significantly the way the Lakers did. Moved up 19 spots using only cash. Didn't use any future assets. So you did all these things. You made these moves. Is it enough to say this team's a contender? No, but you did all of it while keeping all of the powder dry for the future. You still have Dalton Connect. You still have your future first you can trade. You still have your expirings. There is the potential now for the Lakers to get this team on the floor, see what's what. Yes, we can look at the team on paper and say, oh, they need more of this, this, and this, but they can actually get them on the court, figure out what it is that they need, and then they have the assets still available to go and make that move. So I think they've done a really, really nice job this summer, while understanding that as is, I don't think this team is a title contender, but a move, maybe two, and they can be. And I think those moves are certainly possible given the assets that they still have available to them.
Yeah, and I think, there's no way of telling once the season starts, there's going to be teams that think they're in the mix. And then by the time January 1st rolls around, they're like, yeah, we're not in the mix. Or
Yeah.
they had some major injuries and decide, you know what, let's go an opposite route. There's so much to still be figured out. And I think there's probably going to be players that we're not talking about today that will be available by the time you get to January. Maybe there's players out there or teams out there that would love an expiring contract and a young asset that today that's not what they're thinking of. So obviously a lot still to be figured out. So I think you and I are both on the same page as that. There's been so much chatter about Luka this offseason, and I'm sure you dissected the men's health, the article that came out, the photos and everything else. He does look phenomenal. He does look like he's in great shape. Do you think it's important for Luka, or do you think it's important for, just to have a Laker MVP season? Is that something that Luka should be chasing? Is that something that you feel like, does that kind of distract from, no, this is about winning as a team. It's not an individual award. Personally, for me, I don't think it would distract. I think it would be phenomenal. It means so much. If Luka's competing for an MVP with the likes of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is a category that I think he should be in. I don't think it's a stretch to be saying that he's in that conversation with those players. I really, really would love to see Luka not only going for an MVP, again, not taking anything away for the team. I think they need him to be an MVP caliber, but I think it'd be really cool to see him do it in a Laker jersey. Just your thoughts on that potential and how important you think it would be.
Yeah, he's been in the MVP conversation for years now. He's always one of the favorites to win the MVP award each season. Maybe this is the year that he does it. Could it happen at the detriment of the team? Perhaps. Maybe you can argue that's what happened the year Joel Embiid won it. Do we see guys maybe push a little bit too hard for individual accolades? Sometimes, but I think generally the two things go hand in hand, the team success and the individual success. If you do have an MVP version of Luka, that's probably going to mean good things for the Lakers as a team as well. Not to mention the fact that beyond just, hey, a really good version of Luka probably means you're going to win more games, but you got to win games in order for the guy to be an MVP consideration, especially in the West. If the Lakers are the 6th seed, Luka's not winning MVP, right? They'd have to be probably top 3, top 4 at worst in order to win that MVP award. So I do think the two things mostly go hand in hand. Luka winning an MVP, which I do think is a realistic goal of his. I think it's an achievable goal for him, and team success. So what you don't want to see is going after the individual goal to the detriment of team success. But I don't think that's what we would see happen for the Lakers. I think it would be the two things walking down the path to success together if you can get that version of Luka Doncic. And that would be amazing for the Lakers to have. What would he be? He'd be the most recent MVP for a Laker since Kobe, right? I guess LeBron really should have won it back in 2021 until he got hurt, but would be the most recent Lakers MVP. So I think it would be huge. And you never know what the future holds, but the kind of shape that he's in now, I would not put it past Luka to turn in an MVP campaign this season.
All right, the other star for the Lakers, obviously LeBron. I know the last time we connected, and it was a storyline to an extent for most of the offseason. Just what do you make of? How do you think if you had to try to guess what LeBron thinks of the current situation? Obviously we know that he's only got so much time left. He wants to compete as well. There's been a lot of kind of chatter that's took you in so many different places when we've talked about LeBron this summer. What do you make of LeBron's offseason? I will say that I think when the dust settles and we get to training camp, Bron will be there and he'll be setting the tone like he always does. But what do you make of all the kind of outside noise in regards to Bron?
Yeah, I mean, he picked up his player option. He is now an expiring contract, truly, for both parties since the first time that we've ever seen this. He's an expiring contract for the Lakers. He also has the ability to go somewhere else next summer. This could be it. This could be the last ride for LeBron James. And this could be he retires at the end of the year. This could be he leaves the Lakers at the end of the year. Who knows? Maybe he has a great season and he winds up staying with the Lakers and playing for another 3 years. Like we don't know what the future holds for LeBron. I don't think LeBron knows for sure exactly what that's going to look like. He's got to get into the season, see how everything goes, and then we'll see what kind of success this team has or doesn't have, and that's going to be a big factor here. But this is the first time that we've really seen optionality on both sides, and this is the first time I think ever in LeBron's basketball life where he's not the most important player on his team. And now we can argue like, hey, is LeBron better than Luka? Is Luka better than LeBron? It doesn't really matter. The most important thing for the Lakers right now is a 26-year-old Luka and building around him. Saying LeBron is not the most important player on the team is not a shot at LeBron. It's more of a tip of the cap to Luka and how massive acquiring him was for this team. But so now LeBron is entering uncharted territory. He's never been in this situation before. And so I understand why there would be a little bit of awkwardness there, maybe a little bit of discomfort with being in this situation. I also think LeBron totally gets it and understands exactly why the Lakers did what they did. But I do think that, as you said, when it comes time for training camp, he'll be locked in. All systems will be go, and they're going to be doing everything they can to win right now. I think Luka wants to win right now. LeBron wants to win right now. The Lakers organizationally want to win right now. And we're going to see if they can accomplish that. So it's, a bumpy road, maybe to be expected, but I still think when push comes to shove, LeBron's going to be a Laker. And honestly, Alan, I hope that whenever he plays his final game, it's in a Lakers jersey.
I agree with you on that one. Yeah, I've said this. I think we had the conversation about a week ago or so. In a perfect world, LeBron ends his career as a Laker, and whenever that is, I mean, listen, if I said in an ideal situation, Lakers are adding another star to this team, and LeBron is kind of like, all right, cool. I'll be the third star on this team. All I want to do is compete for NBA championships, and obviously that can't happen this year. And he takes a significant pay cut just to be a part of a winning team and still live in LA where his family is and get an opportunity to add to his resume in whatever form that is. That would be the most ideal situation. I mean, I'm not sure, and maybe today Bron can't see that, but maybe as he continues, it's like, all right, 23rd season, 24th season. Does there come a point where he's like, this is what makes most sense if I want to accomplish what I want to accomplish? If he also wants to see, just hypothetically, you can almost look like a hero with the Lakers as well. It's like, can he be in his 9th year with the Lakers, his 10th year with the Lakers? And is he during that time saying, all I want to do is win? And if I got 2 other stars that I get a chance to play with, then I will take whatever it is in order to go try to make that happen. He kind of adds to his legacy as well. Again, that's me talking about in a perfect world, but life isn't perfect. So I'm not sure if that, will ever come about.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you're LeBron right now, you've got two ways to look at this. Like from the Lakers perspective, yeah, it'd be great if, hey, next summer, the Lakers, they take the cap flexibility they've got. Let's say they know they can sign LeBron for, I don't know, let's say they're going to be a cap space team. You take advantage of Austin Reeves being a relatively low cap hold of like 20 million and maybe 25, depends on where that number falls and the averages fall. But let's say it winds up working in the Lakers' favor and he's a cap hold of 20 million. LeBron, let's say you do relinquish his cap hold of like 50-ish million, maybe it's 55. You relinquish that. You go use your cap space. You bring in whoever. Maybe it's via trade. You use your 3 draft picks that you could have potentially available to trade next summer. And you bring somebody else in, you bring in another guy, you bring Austin back using his bird rights and taking advantage of his low cap hold, and then you use the room exception to bring back LeBron, and that would be like $8.5 million, something like that. That's the dream scenario, obviously, for the Lakers. For LeBron, though, you're looking at it going, what? I was 6th in the MVP vote last year. I was 2nd team All-NBA. Shouldn't that be an easy max contract. And I do think that yeah, it should, and that he's worth max money still. There are people who will argue that he's not, but I do think he's
can I
worth
just
that.
say, can I just
Yeah,
say, Trev, I think the worth thing, we're never going to be able to, I can never sit here and make an argument with you from a value standpoint. Obviously what he brings to the table, he's
yeah,
worth max, period. And if you want to take the basketball part of it out of it, he's worth max, so
sure.
there's no justification there. I think just the question is there a way for LeBron to accomplish both of his goals? I don't think there is. I don't think there's a way to make max money and have a realistic shot of winning an NBA championship. I mean, I guess, frankly, I could be wrong on that, because if the Lakers get to the NBA trade deadline and make a couple of moves
Hmm.
and he's making his 52.3 and they brought in the right pieces, then maybe that all, maybe I'm wrong on that entire model there. And I think the Lakers are trying to put themselves in that position. But when you get out of this year, it's going to be really difficult for the Lakers and LeBron to kind of accomplish. If you just put a checklist out, what is it that the Lakers want to accomplish? What is it LeBron wants to accomplish? There's going to be some things that just don't align or don't
Yeah.
connect. But, obviously we got some time to figure out what that's going to look like.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I think part of the reason why we've had some friction here, where for a long time, I think what's been best for the Lakers and best for LeBron have largely been one and the same. Now, people will get upset and say, "Oh no, but the Lakers need to do this, this, and this to support LeBron, or LeBron needed to take a pay cut and all that." Look, in general, good things for the Lakers have meant good things for LeBron, and vice versa. And that may not be the case moving into the future as the team is positioning itself around Luka. And so that I think that dynamic shifting can create a little bit of friction for sure. But again, we don't know what the future is going to hold with this situation. What we do know is that now both sides have optionality here. The Lakers don't have to offer LeBron a contract next summer. LeBron doesn't have to accept the contract if the Lakers do offer it. LeBron can look for a contract somewhere else if he wants. Both sides can take stock of things, figure out where things are at next summer, and then go from there. But like I said, I do think that we're going to see a very locked in LeBron James, and that's really exciting. I mean, he's a phenomenal, absolutely incredible player. And I think, honestly, Alan, I think he does not get enough credit for what he did last year when Luka arrived to shifting his defensive role. He essentially took over Anthony Davis's role in terms of his responsibilities on the defensive end of the floor. And I don't think he gets enough credit for doing everything that he could to try to make the transition to Luka as smooth as possible. So there's a lot of people on either side of the LeBron thing, pro, con, all of that. He can be very polarizing, but he's an incredible player. We've been blessed to have him as a Los Angeles Laker, and right now the future is unwritten with him in LA.
By the way, I'm with you. I don't think he deserves enough credit. I don't think he gets enough credit. I'm with you on that. And we could sit here for an hour and talk about it, but I don't disagree with you at all. I think you just have the problem with LeBron is everyone's just they have such a polarizing opinion.
Yeah.
He either can't do anything wrong or everything he does is wrong. So I think that's just, most people can't find a middle ground in that and just accept the positives, the negatives, whatever the case is. But when he did come to the Lakers, I couldn't agree more. There was did he do anything on the floor that would tell you that he's trying to check Luka of whose team it is? Did he do anything on the floor that would make you think that it was more about himself than winning? Like, I think if there's one thing that you can argue whatever you want about LeBron, but when they get on the floor and when they get on the court, LeBron has one goal: I'm trying to win. However the hell I do that, I'm trying to win. And I don't think that's actually talked about enough. So I think that's a good point right there. It's a good topic for another day. I want to keep things moving here because I think there's still a bunch of things to talk about. I feel like once a year since the Lakers won the bubble championship, somebody brings up something to take away from the Lakers championship. And listen, if you want my view on it, I don't have an issue with anybody saying it wasn't like other championships. I don't think they're wrong when they say that, but there's a couple angles that I have here. So Joe Varden, who works for The Athletic, was doing an interview with Daryl Morey.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to read the quote here, and I'm sure you've already read it as well, but I think it's a good conversation. Here's what he said. He said, "Had the Rockets won the title, I absolutely would have celebrated it as legitimate, knowing the immense effort and resilience required. Yet everyone I speak to around the league privately agrees that it doesn't truly hold up as a genuine championship. Perhaps the lasting legacy of the NBA bubble is that the NBA should be proud of its leadership at both the beginning and the end of the pandemic, even though the championship will forever be marked as an asterisk. I read that quote. I just want to get your thoughts, your opinion on what kind of comes to mind when you see a quote like that from Daryl Morey.
Now, he did say something to the effect at the beginning of, the Rockets won it, he would celebrate it as a legitimate title and everything. The whole quote actually lands as though Daryl Morey is saying he doesn't necessarily agree, but people he's spoken to around the league consider it an asterisk championship. So I think there was a little bit of that kind of got put on Morey, that it was him making that point, and I think he was more saying that he doesn't feel that way, but people around the NBA do. But regardless, should it be seen that way? I mean, obviously I'm going to be biased in this and all of that, but no. And I ranted about this a little bit yesterday with for Lakers Nation, but this is something we've been talking about for years. Obviously, it's something,
and we probably will still. 5 years from now, it's still going to be a conversation.
It will forever be a thing. But you're on a slippery slope if you start to put asterisks on championships, because if you're going to do that, okay, then let's talk about the 99 Spurs. Okay, let's talk about anytime anybody won a championship when a bunch of teams were injured. Let's talk about the Celtics getting a bye to the finals year before last, right? Where every team in front of them just collapsed under the weight of enormous injuries, right? That's where, if you're going to start throwing an asterisk on one championship, then you got to start looking at all these other ones and then throwing out all these asterisks and everything. No, a championship is a championship is a championship. I do think that who won it has something to do with it. I think that who won it has something to do with fans of other teams, that because the Lakers, like LeBron, are polarizing. Both the Lakers and LeBron are polarizing. You've got enough people who really dislike the Lakers that are going to throw out, oh, no, I don't like who won, so it doesn't count. So it's a Mickey Mouse ring, it's bubble chip, it's all these kinds of things. Ultimately, should a championship have an asterisk? No. And in fact, I think you could argue the other way, that this was the most difficult championship. You could also argue that it's the purest championship. If anything, people say the Lakers got an easy championship. No. If anything, they got a more difficult championship than ever before, because they were damaged more than any other team by going into the bubble, because they had home court all the way throughout the playoffs, and that was taken away from them. So they lost their home court advantage. They go into a place where everybody is competing on the same court, and there's that travel and everything else isn't involved, and they still won. And you know what? They were the best team in the regular season. So we should look at it and go, oh, no, asterisk, this team won. It's not like they were the 8th seed and they suddenly got way better. They were the best team in the regular season. They were the best team in the playoffs. They won the NBA championship. And people look at it and say, well, LeBron and AD that were only healthy because they got to sit out for 4 months or whatever. LeBron and AD were healthy when everything shut down. Giannis was not for Milwaukee. It was Milwaukee, the Clippers, and the Lakers that year. Those were the 3 teams. Giannis was not healthy when everything shut down, and he got a chance to heal up. LeBron and AD were healthy when everything shut down. The Lakers were rolling, and then everything shut down. The Lakers were damaged more than anybody else going in to Orlando, going into the bubble, and they still won. So I'm not putting an asterisk by that championship or any other championship. I think it's ridiculous.
So it's funny. I have a curiosity when I hear, especially if I hear from a player or an executive that says something about the championship in 2020 or just the run, obviously the circumstances, and you stop the season and it's 4 months and then you come back and you start it. I want to know what their argument is, because they're just going to have a perspective that I'm not going to have. I wasn't in Orlando. I wasn't in the bubble. I didn't talk to other players or executives. So I don't actually, if Daryl Morey says, and like you mentioned, Daryl Morey's basically, you can maybe call it representing other people in the league of what they think of that championship, not necessarily his opinion. I want to know why people think that. So I kind of have some curiosity when I hear it. But this is the thing. This is why I think it really doesn't hold as much weight. And I'll just kind of give you my opinion on it. If you look at when the league stopped, who were the top teams in the NBA? The Bucks had the best record in the Eastern Conference. They were 53-12. The Lakers had the best record in the Western Conference. They were 49-14. My point is that the Lakers weren't trash, okay? The Bucks end up losing to Miami in, I think, the Eastern Conference semifinals. They lose 4-1. Miami, a couple years later, also got to the NBA Finals with basically the same team with Bam Adebayo, Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, kind of a similar construct of a team. The point I'm making is Miami, even after the bubble, proved they can get through a really, really tough Eastern Conference, or they can be an underdog and get through an Eastern Conference to go make an NBA Finals. The Lakers had the best record in the Western Conference. They didn't come out of nowhere. If you told me the Atlanta Hawks got to the NBA Finals and won an NBA championship in the bubble, I would tell you something weird happened here.
Sure.
The Lakers were 49-14. Do you remember? I think this is the one thing that bothers me most about the conversation of if the Lakers deserved, that bubble championship. How stacked was that roster, Trev? I haven't. I don't think people realize how stacked the Lakers roster were. KCP, Alex Caruso, Anthony Davis, Danny Green, Dwight Howard, LeBron James, Kyle Kuzma, JaVale McGee, Markieff Morris, Rajon Rondo, J.R. Smith, Avery Bradley. That team was stacked. I don't care if that's in a bubble or if that's in another arena or there was nothing else that happened. The actual squad that the Lakers had, that's as good of a team as you can possibly put together. So the issue that I have is if we try to really kind of break it down and pretend that nothing happened, COVID didn't happen, Lakers would be right there. It's not this oh my gosh, where did this team come from? They had the best record in the Western Conference, and they had this unbelievable roster full of Hall of Famers. That's my biggest problem with it, is I think they just don't get enough credit for how good that team actually was.
Well, and that team going into the season was not looked at as a stacked team. They weren't. And by looking through today's lens, yes, we know they won a championship, but even just looking at the way we view basketball today compared to the way we viewed basketball 5 years ago, it's shifted significantly. Today, we would look at, if somebody put together that same roster today, we would go, damn, that team is stacked, right? Back then, it was, okay, well, but the Lakers missed out on Kawhi. But they might be all right. Maybe they're going to be okay, but they missed out on Kawhi. So I don't know what their ceiling's going to be. All throughout that season, it was how good are they really up? They lost some games to some of the best teams. Maybe they're not really that good. Maybe they're just fattening up their record on some of the easier teams. Those questions were out there. But what was really happening, which we didn't know in the moment, what was really happening was the Lakers had discovered the next evolution of the NBA in terms of roster building, in terms of having switchy, physical, defensive players around your stars, guys who can play both sides of the ball, guys who could shoot the three and defend at a high level. The Lakers stacked their team with those types of players. Now everybody is trying to do that. The Lakers really paved the way for that. And unfortunately, they didn't stick with that strategy, obviously making some changes that next summer. Then making the big changes.
AD was playing.
Yeah, exactly. This team paved the way for the modern NBA in terms of how teams have been trying to build out their rosters over the last 5 years or so. So in the moment, we didn't look at that roster and go, oh my gosh, this team is so stacked. But looking back now, we're like, whoa, how do you deal with the amount of defensive pressure that team can put out there? And that's how they won and why they won. So this was, in hindsight, absolutely a stacked roster that we just didn't see it when it was first assembled.
All right, final one I got for you, buddy, and I appreciate your time as always. So thank you for joining the show. I know a lot of the listeners on this channel, of course, love your perspective. I just want to get your thoughts, and I don't really kind of know even where to go with this or how to go with this. We saw, I think it was over the weekend, the agent of Nikola Jokic posting a picture with LeBron, Maverick Carter, and summer of 2025 is the perfect time to make big plans for the fall of 2026. We know it didn't mean that. Is LeBron going to go play for the Denver Nuggets? I don't think anybody really thought that, but you can make any assumption that you want. The details that are coming out talks more about an international basketball league. And we've heard some rumors about this before. I'm just curious, what do you make of all this? Just what's your thought process, your take? Is this LeBron kind of planning for when his career is over? I know LeBron had a ton of interest in wanting one of these expansion teams. Now there's no guarantee that we're going to get expansion teams. Just what do you make of that chatter around that photo and the articles that have come out since?
I mean, it makes a lot more sense than he's going to play with Jokic or Jokic is coming to LA to play with LeBron, that they'd be talking about a European basketball league. Now the NBA is also talking about an NBA Europe, and they've booked multiple games that are going to be played over there and all of that. Um, look, LeBron is a businessman. If he, I think, has an inside track, if he has an inside track for the team that we think could be coming to Las Vegas, it would make sense for him to also have interest in basketball in Europe. Can he do both things? We'll have to see how all of that would play out. What does the NBA do with that situation? But big picture, I'm really interested in the expansion of the NBA and bringing a team back to Seattle, bringing a team to Las Vegas, moving one Western team east, and all of that. I'm really interested in that more so than NBA Europe. And my concern is that the NBA is either going to try to do both things at the same time, which I think could be a bit of a problem, or they're going to focus on NBA Europe and not on an expansion. That's going to push back expansion a few more years. So I would like to see expansion handled first, get that settled. But it's sounding like there's some concerns on the ownership side in terms of, do we really want to give up 2 more shares of the revenue?
The 77 billion being distributed is, it's not enough.
Exactly. The money that would come in as the franchise fee, maybe not enough to offset that. And so they're figuring all that out. In the meantime, they're looking at NBA Europe. But so if I'm LeBron and expansion is suddenly, it's probably still going to happen, but it's not 100%. And I want to be involved in basketball. And I know I only have a year, 2 years, 3 years, however long LeBron's going to play. It's a finite amount of time. It makes sense for him to be exploring other things too, in case the NBA doesn't wind up expanding or he doesn't wind up part of an ownership group for a team in, say, Vegas or somewhere else.
All right, we'll see how it all unfolds. Every photo that goes up, we're trying to break down and dissect it all. That's definitely one of them. Trev, thank you, bud. I appreciate the time. Hopefully, some phenomenal content for the both of us over the next 60 days as we get to training camp. All right, brother?
All right. Hey, thanks again for having me, Alan.
All right. That is Trevor Lane right there. Great stuff from Trev as always. Appreciate his perspective, his point of view, and I know a lot of you guys appreciate it as well. All right. Let's kind of start taking a look here. What is everybody talking about? Get the comments going, and there were a few things that I saw as well from a couple comments that I think will ignite a couple conversations as well. Before I do so, shout out, of course, to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Serious injury, a wrongful death case. They are injury attorneys. Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm can help anybody in the state of California. We created a URL, wallacewins.com/Sliwa, wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Basically, this partnership started as organically as it possibly can. It's a relationship I've had for about 5 years. Brad Wallace and his team was supporting me when I was on radio. Here I am now 100% on YouTube, and he's joining me here as well, and supportive in many ways, not just the partnership. I throw a lot of different ideas. I get his perspective on kind of the future of the channel and everything else. So he's got a great business mind. If you are a family member or somebody you know has been in a serious accident, a serious injury, or something along those lines, all I ask for is just give Brad Wallace and his team an opportunity or a chance to help guide you in the right direction. I know it's very daunting. I know it's very intimidating. And I'm sure you just don't have the education on it. Get with one of the best in the industry, one of the best in the business. If you go to the website, it's an absolutely free consultation. He will try to point you in the right direction. And I got all the confidence in the world that Brad Wallace and his team will be able to help you. Hope you never need Brad Wallace and his services. Things happen in life. And because they do, we want to make sure that, you obviously have a connection of somebody that can help you. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you very much for him, his partnership, and I appreciate all the listeners supporting the partnership as well. I know you guys have been very positive about his relationship here on the channel. Okay, let's take a look at some comments here. Let's see what we got here. I saw this one. I understand catering to Luka. He's the future, but this is still LeBron's team. You guys agree with that? You guys agree with that? I think, for me, I don't know how much of an argument this is. I think every indication since Luka got traded to the Lakers, I definitely don't think this is LeBron's team. I don't. And, if you guys disagree with that, then, surely please let me know. But I think every move that the Lakers organization has made, every indication from the Lakers organization, it doesn't seem like it's his team. So, and again, I don't think it's a shot or disrespect at LeBron James. I just think you're dealing with somebody who's so incredibly talented, young, the opportunity in front of him. I just don't think it's LeBron's team anymore. And I actually really feel like actions speak louder than words. And I think the action spoken by the Lakers is, we love you. You've been great, but this ain't your team. This is his team. And that's really, I think, the best way that I can describe it. So that's how I would look at it. I would say that that's not how I kind of read the franchise and the team and where it's going. And if you disagree with that, completely okay with it as well. Let's see, Baller P. All right, it's definitely still LeBron's team. Luka's the future, no doubt. Two things can be true at the same time. Yeah, I agree. I'm telling you right. Okay, that's somebody else. I think it's Luka's team, guys. I think the franchise is definitely showing that it's Luka's team. And I don't even think it's the, sometimes you could say, it's the future. No, I think it's the present. And the present is it's Luka's team. They're going to make every decision based off of Luka. They are. That's just kind of how it's going to happen. Okay, a couple things I just want to expand on here real quick about that the 2020 championship. And again, I think a lot of people get really angry about that conversation of like when others say, hey, there should be an asterisk, this, that, whatever the case is. I don't really have an issue with it. I just think the case against, if the Lakers didn't have if Lakers didn't have a championship type of roster, if Miami got to the finals once and then they were never in the, playoffs again, but they got to the finals again in 2023, I think the two teams that represented the East and the West for that finals run are two teams that were legitimate. And Miami proved it again, and the Lakers certainly proved it again. Well, I mean, I guess after the bubble championship, the roster changed a lot, and the Lakers really weren't able to, recreate what they had. A lot of people would say, well, that's on Pelinka for not bringing the same team back. We do know Anthony Davis got injured the following year in the playoffs. They're up 2-1 against Phoenix, and then all of a sudden that's a wrap. Lakers are, once he gets injured, the series was over. But I really don't have an issue with people giving their opinion on it. I will just say, at the end of the day, for me personally, that team was stacked. And whether they were in Orlando, whether COVID happened or it didn't happen, I still think, it shouldn't be a surprise or a shock that Lakers won the championship that year. What else did I have here? I mentioned with Trevor. MVP for Luka. I think it's a big deal. I think if we're having a conversation, I think it's a big deal for a couple of reasons, but I think if we're having a conversation about Luka winning an MVP, I think a lot of things must have gone right for the Lakers that year. And I think you're also getting a guy that it's part of the progress of his career, probably has something to prove now because of what happened in Dallas, a personal vendetta against his old team. Clearly he's taken his body seriously now. He's going to do everything he can to be the best version of himself. I think it would tell a lot if the guy wins MVP, or let's just say he got runner-up and it went to Nikola Jokic because he had another ridiculous season. I think that a lot must have gone right for the Lakers. I think that the fact that they probably had a really good record. I think he must have had probably the best season that he's ever had in his career. And I think the Lakers would certainly be positioning themselves for a playoff run, because that's really typically how most MVPs win. You got to have a good season. Your team's got to be really competitive, and you just got to be the best player in the league, period. So I think there's some real stuff to that. And I hope to see that by the time we get to that portion of, towards the end of the year, that he's in the discussion, he's in the conversation. And more than anything else, I hope Luka puts himself in a position to win the whole thing. Now, I don't want people to think this. I'm not saying that, well, just because he wins an individual award over a team award. That's not the case I'm trying to make. I don't think I'm saying, hey, win the MVP and Lakers suck, because those two don't go together. When I used to do the show with Michael Thompson used to always say, there's only one MVP that counts. It's the finals MVP. Because the finals MVP, you not only won an NBA championship, you were the best player in the NBA finals, period. That's it. You want to take any trophy that's out there. The finals MVP trophy is the greatest individual award that you can possibly win. I don't disagree with that. But I still think for Luka and for the Lakers, it'd be great to see that individual win the MVP award, be the most valuable player in the NBA, because I think if that's accomplished, that means the Lakers are having a tremendous season as well. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. Well, if it's finals MVP, you know where you are as a team, of course. Bron needs to pace himself at his age. He can't be the leader of the team if he's not even on the floor as much. LeBron's always been there. I mean, the question, I don't think we have a question with LeBron is he around? Is he available? I don't think any of that stuff ever comes into play. Shout out to Lexus Santa Monica promoting the 2025 all-electric Lexus RZ. Go to LexusSantaMonica.com. If you're in the market for a car right now, can I help you with a long-term plan? Let me tell you the long-term plan. The long-term plan is go get yourself into a Lexus. Go get yourself into one of the most reliable brands out there, one of the most dependable brands out there. I could tell you firsthand. This is why this partnership is here. I got my car from Lexus Santa Monica. I have 180,000 miles on my car. I love my car. My car it's beautiful. There's a luxury feeling to it. Lexus has all of that. But one of my main reasons for getting a Lexus, I know that it's a smart investment from a car perspective. And most cars are not smart investments. But can I buy a car across the street from Lexus Santa Monica? There's a Lexus certified pre-owned lot there. That's where I got my car. So I got my car a couple years old. I thought I bought it at great value. And then here I am 8 years later, still driving the same car. That's what I mean by you got to be smart about it. Lexus is a phenomenal brand. And the reason why I love the brand more than anything else is because I know that I can have it and drive it for 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, however long I choose to drive it. It's a dependable, reliable car, of course, if you take care of it. If you're in the market for a car right now, I'm going to give you the email address of the general manager / part owner of the dealership, Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com. Matt Unger. I've known Matt Unger for about 10 years now. Him and I have had a great relationship over the years. I'm really happy that he decided to join the channel as well. But again, usually what I try to do with partnerships, I just want to make them genuine. I want to have a personal connection and a personal relationship. It doesn't get as personal as this. If you are in the market for a car, please start with Matt Unger, Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com, Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com, at Lexus Santa Monica. So get that piece in there. All right, let me get to a couple NBA stories here real quick, and then we're going to call it a day. Shout out to Trevor Lane for joining the show, by the way. NBA stories, to be honest with you, I only saw a couple on there, and one of them is basketball related. The other one is basketball adjacent, a former player. One thing I saw, Jaylen Brown. I like when players open up like this. Jaylen Brown was doing an interview. I think it was on Athlon Sports, if I'm correct. Doing an interview. Sometimes we look at these athletes and we just say to ourselves, like, they're multimillionaires. They got nothing to worry about. They got so much money in the bank that they're never going to have to worry about anything. They've got to work a day in their lives after. They're living the dream. When some of these guys talk about, I don't know if it's their personal life or I think it's more of just their perspective on things. Jaylen Brown really opened up in this interview, and I've heard him in the past kind of talk a little bit about some of his mental health struggles. Here's what he said. In a candid interview with the School of Hard Knocks, the Boston Celtics star opened up about mental health, his face, and the challenges that have shaped his journey to becoming a 4-time All-Star. I've dealt with anxiety, even depression. I've been to some very dark places, but I feel like those dark places have allowed my light to shine. When I hear things like this from players, and I see them just take down that wall and pretend like, I got everything handled, when they show some of that vulnerability. man, I got mad respect when I see some of these players do it, because I'm sure it's not easy to do it. You know, look, we all deal with it. I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I deal with anxiety or I mental health issues or something. I'd be lying to you if I said I don't deal with that. But when a player, an athlete like this, got the kind of contract that he does, everybody just assumes, oh, this guy is, what has he got to worry about in life? You know, respect to Jaylen Brown for kind of opening up, because I think players like that show some of that vulnerability, who knows how it might help somebody else. The only other story that I have that's NBA related, and this one is going to be wildly different than that story. Gilbert Arenas. I don't know if you guys saw this article. Former NBA star Gilbert Arenas faces federal charges in connection with a legal gambling ring. The Department of Justice announced on Wednesday. What was he doing? Allegedly running an illegal gambling business out of a California mansion, I think in Encino is what they said, where high-stakes poker games were played. Department of Justice mentioned. The other reason why this is not just Gilbert Arenas, the former player, it's also Gilbert Arenas, the podcaster, who's got a very successful show that he does. I don't know if he does it Monday through Friday, but I know he's obviously very active, does a show. Let me read some of the details here that were in there. The filing includes, let's see what we got here. Yep, an Encino home, purpose of hosting illegal poker games in 2022. The filing includes a photo of a gold-trimmed poker table with the words Arenas Poker Club printed on top, along with an image of a basketball jersey with labeled Arenas. But there were some details in here that I thought were interesting. Let's see what it has here. Basically, this man was running like a real operation. Hired people, had security guards, valet. I mean, literally was running it as if it was a casino, I guess you want to call it. So there's kind of the latest there. I know that was big news and a big story that came out yesterday as well. And since it's basketball related, I was going to share it as well. All right, let's take a look at a couple comments here, and then we are going to call it a day. Let's see what I got here. Can I get Matt's number, please? Send me an email and I'll connect you with Matt. AlanSliwa@gmail.com, and I'll connect you with Matt Unger. By the way, I appreciate this. Second Lexus, love it. Just the fact that you guys, deal with some of these partnerships that I have and actually have like a genuine interest of supporting the channel or taking my word for it. That means a lot. So anybody wants to send me an email, I'll put you in touch with the GM/owner over there. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's take a look at a couple of the comments here, and then we're going to call it a day. What's funny about Gilbert Arenas? I got some people here saying, all right, people giving their thoughts about, just want to make sure that I read this. Gilbert, man, we need no chill Gil. We need Gil Arena. We need it. But the stuff he's caught doing, reading the details, lied to the feds, and he's, all right, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Like, honestly, there is a very, very natural human tendency in all of us where greed comes into play. You could have all the money in the world. You could be very successful, and people will still want more, or greed will be in play. Does Gilbert Arenas needs to put his entire career on the line for what he was doing? Obviously, he doesn't. Greed, man. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Greed. And I've listened to Gilbert Arenas. I don't really watch the show, to be honest with you, but I've seen a lot of clips of Gilbert Arenas, and some things, I think he's been at times wildly disrespectful to some of the players out there. I have not been a fan. It's not my style, but I know it's why. It doesn't have to be for me. There's other people that like it, other people that watch it, and he's been wildly successful doing it. But I think the best way that I can put it is greed comes in. Let's just put it that way. These athletes are crazy. I'd be okay with 1 million and call quits and retire. Chris, I get it. You're not wrong in that one. They're living in a different world. Let's just put it that way. They have no concept of reality anymore, because since they were maybe 18 years old, they've been handed everything, told they're the greatest. And it just kind of, they're really not living in reality. I think most people day to day that are just walking around and going about their lives, they live in reality. They live in the, okay, yep, bills I got to pay. Whatever you want to list down, there's just a more realistic life. A lot of these other people, you start making crazy, crazy money. I don't know if you're still living in that reality. And I for what it's worth, whatever it means, that's the position that he's put himself in. So he'll have to live with that. All right, my people. I think we're done for the day. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Like I said, by the way, somebody had a shout out for the Lexus thing. If you really do want an introduction, just send me an email, first and last name @gmail.com. Happy to make an introduction. Thank you to Trevor Lane for being a part of the show. Shout out to Lexus Santa Monica. Of course, thank you to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm, phenomenal partner as well. Hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow on a Friday. We'll do this again. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you, everybody.